What up, brother?
What agwan?
What agwan?
We're out here live and direct, dude. We got the whole New England brain trust except for Mike.
Where's Mike?
Who is down in Philly.
I'm meeting him there tomorrow.
Is Broccoli there?
Broccoli's actually not here for once.
Okay, so you don't got the whole brain trust, but you got.
So we don't got the whole brain trust, but we've got a large contingency. So yeah, we finally sat down and did what we were talking about, for people who don't know, when you go to taste wine professionally as like a sommelier, you have this like sort of step-by-step quality rubric that you go by, and this is all for wine, and you start with the visual, and then you go with the nose, and then you taste it, and you talk about the different aspects.
This is known as the grid.
This is the grid.
Running the grid is the task of practicing while drinking, or in our case, smoking.
Yeah, so
not in
sommeliers, just like us hashmokers, will get together and bring over like fun, obscure bottles of wine and shit, and they'll taste it, and they'll go through this whole thing, and they'll just talk about it together. So we have made the first outline for the hash version. So yeah, we can just go fucking through it. So we do smell and nose first, because I feel like that's the most important thing immediately. So you have like the initial aroma, intensity, and quality, and then secondary. So the idea with that is like you should take out your jar and let it come to room temp. So like maybe like a 15-minute like warm up, and then you crack it open, and that's all of your initial stuff. And then you should close it again and let it sit for another like 10 to 15 minutes. And you can get your second sort of rounds, because things sort of open up as they sit a little bit. So we kind of wanted to have something that can go through that. And then after you sort of smell the initial and the secondary, you can kind of talk about like the uniqueness. And then from there, you can, so everything's going to have like sort of subcategories, right? So like when you talk about the clarity, it kind of gives you the terminology that you're supposed to use, So we try to like mimic that for the
smell and the taste categories really overlap with each other a lot. So you're going to have some bleeding up from some of the concepts of taste, and bleeding up from some of the ideas from, smell down into taste. We didn't want to be overly redundant. So there, you could pull up some taste ideas and use it to describe smell and vice versa.
Yeah, and so like when you see like the aromas, we kind of have like the different categories, and you expand on them heavily in the taste, but you can also just expand in the smell or nose. But then after that, we went to the visual, where you obviously try to figure out what you're looking at, describe the color, describe the brightness / vibrancy of the color, different consistencies, and then the different textures within the different consistencies.
Like saying it's yellow hash doesn't tell you that much. If you say it's like dull or dingy yellow hash, that's very different than being like, oh, it's highlighter, bright yellow hash. So color can be misleading, but color with brightness kind of helps to get you a little more info.
Yeah, because like same thing with like the white side of the spectrum. Like there's some stuff that's more like creamy, almost tan, and then there's some stuff that's like vibrantly like bleached teeth white. It's like you really like can't miss it. And then we move on to taste. So intensity of the inhale, intensity of the exhale, and then you kind of go. This is where you really kind of go deep. Like this is where the wine tasting people would take their wine and then immediately just start talking about the flavors, kind of like what we do after we dab. But we just try to break it down into a couple categories, and then have a couple of different things that you can talk about within the categories. So fruit, citrus, berry, banana, melon, tropical, stone fruit, and grape. And then you can kind of expand within each of those categories, different kinds of citrus, different types of berries, different ripenesses of banana, different specific fruits in the tropical or the stone fruit. Candy, which is like a growing category, I would say. Skittles, Runts, sour candies, Starburst, Jolly Rancher, bubblegum. We put chocolate in there. Pastries for our West Coast people, cakes, pies, doughs, gelatos, cookies, anything that's sort of vanilla-y, creamy, sweet. And then we have floral, which Quinn honestly has the best descriptors of these. This is like one that Quinn was really like honey, which is a flavor that we've seen sometimes. Like I wouldn't think of that as floral, but he is right. It is very floral. Like when you get like that honeycomb kind of terp, it is like, because you're tasting like the pollen, the bees and stuff.
It's kind of the furthest end of the spectrum because it's the sweetest type of floral. Everything after that is going to be less sweet. So you kind of say, okay, that's the sweetest, and tea might be like the least sweet, and then everything else is somewhere in between those. Or like pine is a very non-sweet floral, and then you have a huge gradient between.
What was your thinking on chocolate and candy?
So chocolate is technically a candy, so we put it up there, but we also put it in earth, and maybe we'll remove it, but if you're talking about candy, like, you know, it's nice to just have all the candies there, even though we do feel like it is a little more of an earth.
Because it also, too, is like there's sweet chocolate and then there's earthy chocolate where it's like
the darker you get as far as cacao content, the more bitter and earthy it becomes.
So there's kind of levels to the chocolate, but yeah, there's, you know, it's hard to try to put everything into one of several categories.
Yeah, and the chocolate could easily flow into the pastry category a little bit when you start talking cookies and stuff, but
yeah,
you know, so there's going to be lots of bleed over, especially fruit and candy. There's so much bleed over between fruit and candy.
Candy was hard too, because the other thing about candy is that you can kind of take anything from the fruit category, and if it's sweet enough, it's also candy, and you can just use like the candy to describe that. Because so
this is fucking phenomenal. This is great,
dude. And we literally busted this down in probably like an hour.
Less than.
Yeah, probably an hour with stories. We were telling a lot of stories in between. So it was
I never shut the fuck up.
Adam was really crushing it out, and then me and Hana were just bringing in the brainstorm on him. So super efficient.
Yeah, and then let's see, we got gas. So we have tire/rubber, glue/epoxy, tennis balls, gasoline/diesel, cleaner, car exhaust. We figured out of all of the gases that we've had, something within there can cover it with like some other modifier in front of it. Like you can have like sweet tennis balls or sweet gasoline, and that would describe a lot of stuff. Yeah,
and even realizing that it's not one of those, in that process, you'll probably remember what it is, right? So if you're like, oh, it's not quite exhaust, it's like, why is that? And it's like, oh, because it's actually burning oil, or like, you know, whatever, or a broken down car, you know? So you kind of it trickles you and leads you into other things, and then you kind of end up seeing the light whether you want to or not.
I'm going to add, and then the last one we have is funk. And I actually just realized I'm going to add like meaty to this, because there's definitely a lot of like
the meat locker,
like meaty profiles.
Yeah, the sticky papaya has like, sometimes it has a bologna, like a straight pennies and bologna terp. Oh, where does the metallic flavor go?
So that's kind of where soil minerals, I would say.
Oh,
that's kind of why
it's metallic. Nice, I like it.
Yes, yeah, because it's usually like irony or like
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, sir.
And then we just added like other familiar flavors, because sometimes you'll taste something and you'll be like, oh, like that tastes exactly like insert something weird. Like I had something that tastes like straight maple syrup one time, and that's not really a candy or a pastry or a fruit, really. It's just kind of syrup, you know, but yeah, I guess it's kind of close to a candy. So then after all of that, we went to sort of the quality of smoke. So smoothness, obviously, like, does it make you cough or does it go down smooth? Does it burn the back of your throat type shit? Duration of flavor, does it leave a nice aftertaste in your mouth? Because some stuff just stains your mouth, like GMO or orange terps, like they linger.
Yeah.
The complexity. So that's the other thing too, right? Especially if like these days a lot of people are doing blends and mixed washes and mixed rosins and stuff. So complexity of the flavor and the balance of the flavor. Because some stuff works really well together. Some stuff kind of like, it feels like they're almost dueling. So we thought it'd be kind of nice to have another way to...
More complex isn't always better, right? So you need to kind of distinguish, oh, this is more complex, but that doesn't make it more desirable, right? So.
And then we got effects, which we kept kind of short and sweet. And there's sort of like you know, a gradient in between this. Is it more uplifting or more sedative? So that would be like your indica or sativa. Is it more of a head high or a body high or somewhere in between or both? Or is it, you can kind of use that to describe the effects more, because sometimes I get stuff that's like right behind my eyes specifically. And then clear to foggy. So is it a workable high or is it a day ender? And then your final conclusions, which are sort of just like, you sort of wrap it all up. You just sort of give your, did you like it? Was it good? Was it good overall? Did it smell good? Did it taste good? Did it get you where you wanted to go? And then if you're really doing it blind, you know, you can maybe try to guess some potential genetics or lineages. So that's what we got. We're going to stew on that and then eventually turn it into a more visually appealing format that we can disseminate to the people. I think this is a nice, pretty approachable, which is what we were kind of going for expert people or for beginner people. We want it to be sort of approachable to either. I don't know if the people are fucking with this or if they think it's lame.
No, I think once you know it, you'll be able to like move through it pretty quick.
Yeah, and then it just becomes second nature. You just start. That's just how you start going through all your dabs, which we sort of already do. Like whenever a homie brings over some new flavors, what do? You grab it. You usually look at the strain on the bottom. You look at it through the glass. You open it up. You smell it. You put your nose in there.
Smell it.
You fucking put your dabber. You start poking around at it. So yeah, we should have this printed up, dude. Maybe we can get it printed in like a nice like poster format too, so people can throw it up in their sesh areas.
Yes, let's fucking get that up.
It would be fun to do like really blow the taste one up and make a really colorful poster with a lot of images.
I would love to do like a flavor wheel almost, where you could have like a circle and like have it all pied out and then have different like pictures representing the different, because it is a beautiful thing. There is so many different, and like we think we hit most of the flavor profiles somewhere in this list, but like Lord knows that there's a whole bunch of
really another thing. I mean, like this is the beginning. Like this is just the beginning. It really needs to be fleshed out still. There's so much that needs to be added to it. It's just the beginning.
I like it.
So
ignore me, I'm doing this.
So JMO, I have like a 2-step process that I kind of want to build where like, so step 1, you kind of like identify all your flavors. You're like, okay, I got these 8 flavors. And then step 2, you actually build, like, so first is figuring out what the flavors are. And then 2 is like building the dynamic entity that is the flavor relationship, right? So you might have like a big main flavor with 2 little secondary flavors and then like an after flavor around the edge. So like creating some, because the issue is that saying it's gas or saying it's fruit, if I'm doing a good job, it should be everything. And it should be at different times and different layers and in different ways. And creating a visual representation for that people can talk about is really hard, and I don't think fully exists yet. So that's like going to be where this will kind of get us to now that we have some language and some structure and stuff.
I think that's a good idea. I think like that if you look at like having, okay, what takes the lead and then what's supporting and then what's on the back end, you know, that makes total sense to me. That's
and some
cool.
stuff is like the peach is just fucking peach all the way through top to bottom, no breaks. And some stuff is like you get this flavor and then it goes right away and then it hits you with gas. And it's like the way the flavors change and the way they interact is what makes all these weeds so fun and so interesting. Not just what flavors are there, but how they change and how they interact. So
Jameson, I'm gonna hop off for 1 second, then hop back on the iPad just so we can hear you better.
All right. Very interesting. Mission Hill. Nobody ever say Mission Hill doesn't love hash. Sitting at home late at night, working on hash grading scales. Come on now.
yo.
Yo.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Frenchie, but I was a little bummed that I've always said that I wanted to make a movie called Adam Dreams of Hash, but Frenchie beat me, so well deserved.
Yeah.
Well deserved. But
Well
like,
deserved.
if no one's ever seen Jiro Dreams of Sushi,
Yeah.
you need to do it.
I haven't seen that shit. I guess I gotta watch it.
Yeah, you definitely need to watch
Oh,
that.
that's the movie I watch when I'm like tired and like burnt out and like feel like I don't want to do things anymore. I just watch that because my dude literally just made fucking sushi for like 80 years of his life and is like content.
Damn.
Yeah, he's a G dude. It literally is just like he's got a sushi restaurant that's like I think like 12 seats in a subway station, and it's like you gotta book tickets like months in advance, and he only does omakase pretty much, and
Fuck's omakase?
chef's choice, literally whatever is like fresh.
Oh,
like
sick.
you got like no say even in what you're ordering for the most part.
That's how I'm trying to make hash, but I
Is
don't
that
know.
Mikey?
It's kind of messed
Is that
up.
the elusive
Michael Toasted?
Trust,
Michael Toe situation?
dude.
What's happening, guys?
Michael, the situation.
Michael is yes.
Michael Toe
Yes.
situation.
Yeah.
I'm about to be on TRT. You are going to see Michael the situation. Give me a month or two.
we Q is over. I got high and we made the solventless tasting grid that we've been talking about, sort of trying to take like the wine grid and try to do something similar for hashish. Have you seen the documentary, Sam?
Oh yeah,
Toshi?
Me? No, I
you
don't.
should watch it.
Whatever.
You should watch it, Mikey.
It's a
No,
fantastic documentary. Basically, it's
I
like
disagree.
5 people. You disagree.
This is one of those things like where KNF says I can't smash things with sledgehammers, even if they're a teacher and they know more than me, and I disagree. I don't think they'll like it. Yeah, I hear with wine stuff.
You just have to
Here's how
observe
works,
it.
MTS. You're like, hey, I
Hmm?
want to do MTS natural farming. And we're like, that's cool. And you're like, yeah, but I want to call it Korean natural farming. We're like, it doesn't really work like that. So, you
Listen.
want to do Korean natural farming, there's some stuff you got to do. If you want to do MTS natural farming, you can do whatever the fuck you want. And I support it.
I'll tell you a very, very quick story about how I'll never enjoy anything wine related compared to cannabis related. So when I was getting into all this new stuff that people post things on the internet about weed and blah, 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 there was a thing and they're like, oh, we're doing online weed education and this and that. And it was called the Trichome Institute. It was 2 dudes, Max Montrose and some chef from PA, Brandon Allen, I believe is the guy's name. And I bought one of their fucking courses and I watched about 10 minutes and I was like, what is this horrible dog shit I'm fucking watching right now? This is horrible. And then I looked into it and I found out that Brandon Allen doesn't even smoke weed. He only smokes hemp. And he's the main guy that they want you to tell you how to taste weed because he knows a lot about wine. So if you're ever like, hey, these wine people are going to tell you how to taste your weed, I just think of that fucking dork. And I'm like, stop talking words at your face right now.
I feel you. But he might have been more impressive if he was talking about shit in his actual field of study.
Yeah,
Because when
I agree.
actual sommeliers, like, they can actually drink a fucking random glass of wine and tell you what the grape was, where it was grown, potential years, potential, like, you know.
What about that dude? Have you ever seen the documentary about the guy that ripped off all of the super wine experts with fake bottles?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I don't know. But anyways, that's my aggressive opinion. Sorry I started off with that. I'm sure we're trying to have a nice little fucking chat here.
Opinions,
Mikey, I super agree. My buddy took the Terpene Institute thingamajig, and I like, read their shit, and it's like just drastic generalization after drastic generalization and trying to pigeonhole everything into a little box. And it's just like really disrespectful to somebody like me that just grows really weird, different strains that they spend a lot of time looking to be outside of the box, to then someone try to jam them back into the box is like, it's so rough.
Yeah, like I think
All right,
the most important part about like even that like the grid that we were just working on is like immediately acknowledging that nothing fits neatly into any of these like categories. Like, you know, like everything's gonna have like, especially on the flavor and the smell, like it's probably gonna be a combination of several things, and it'll probably be a little bit different for everybody. But that's just life.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear more about. I'll stop talking about them too. If we ever do Canna Celebrity Boxing, though, I want both of those two at the same time.
So the
Yo,
Canadian
but-
Celebrity Boxing, we're boxing the Trichome Institute.
Yeah.
But
All right.
your excuse, when you're a little bit more open-minded, your excuse doesn't hold up because Psalm has nothing to do with weed. It's just wine people talking about wine, and so you're able to draw. Yeah. You're able to just watch wine nerds nerd out about wine, and you can be like, "Cool, I don't resonate with that," but you can, like, I don't appreciate wine, but I do so many parallels. I watched Psalm 1, 2, 3. I think I watched 3 or 4 of them.
It's crazy.
Like I loved it. So,
yeah,
and they really can, dude. They're just like us. Like
they're just like us. It's grown men sitting around.
I'll be like, oh, I found this pheno. It's this cross to this, but it really smells like this. It's got nothing to do with the bear. It's like they'll be like, this is a fucking Spanish Rioja, but it was treated like this, so it kind of tastes like a fucking Barolo. And it's like, I don't really know any of these things, but I understand your excitement and like you thinking things are cool because of their like uniqueness and like, I don't know. You understand.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk shit on people that don't smoke weed but try to tell people about weed because they're fucking dorks. Other than that, I love
it all the time, Mike.
Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, I'm gonna take that back because there is one motherfucker I'll listen to. But yeah, but he used to smoke a lot of weed, and he knows a shit brick about weed. He's not like one of these fake CBD smokers, or not even smokers, or somebody that started during the Green Rush. He's an OG. So if he's not currently smoking, he's not currently smoking. Fuck everybody else, though.
Fuck what you know. Fuck what you heard.
Fuck them.
Let's hear about this wine. Let's hear about the weed tasting thing.
I'll bring it back up.
Yeah, we got to bring it back up. But one of the bigger concepts that we were talking a little bit about, so some of this gives us the ability to actually like put a little more concreteness to the flavors we're seeing. So something that I want to do is be able to like identify a pile of flavors, right? So let's say, okay, you smoke Stardosy and you come up with 4 flavors. To be able to build them and figure out how they interact with each other, it takes another layer of intensity. And this gets us to that first layer of like, we have everything we need. And I think we can build that, like those more complex, like second layer relationships. Like, okay, it's gassy and it's earthy, but like in how do they interact? When do the layers come in? How much of each layer? And like that kind of stuff is going to be really, it's going to be really help us talk and describe flavors without people ever needing to see them. And just get us some more info. I think it's going to be fun.
Yo, Adam, can you zoom in on your screen like Mondo and make it like obscenely big for you so it could be like normal size for everybody else?
I am doing, let's see how big it can go.
Go big or go home.
Pretty big. Enter the full screen.
All right, that is about as, let's see. How's that look? Is that pretty good for people?
Not really.
I mean,
You can kind of see it.
look,
There you
why
go.
don't you
That's
just
better.
talk about it, because this is going to end up like presented nicely.
You can see it when you do that. That's great.
This is good? You can see this? Okay, so we basically tried to take the wine. Oh, nope, you can't see that. Sorry. The wine tasting grid that they go through in the sommeliers, and we try to like rework it for solventless concentrates. So the first thing we have is the smell nose, which we think is obviously important. So initial should be, you should obviously let your products come to room temp. So let it hang out for 5 to 15 minutes, depending on the temp. And So this is just the initial smell. Like, try to talk about the general things that you're getting. How intense is the flavor? How is the quality of the flavor? Because obviously something could be very loud, but it might not be the quality you want. And then, like, that initial aroma is nice because you sort of get like a big punch of terps and all the things that have been off-gassing while it's been closed. So then we think you should close it back up and let it sit out again for another like 15 minutes, and then you can do a secondary sort of smelling, go over the.
Yeah, like maybe the secondary one happens at the end of the grid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be 100% linear, but I think it is important to see sort of how the flavor, is it the same? Does it change at all? Does it? I don't know. So
and like at this point you're gonna be like, oh word, it's gassy and it's got a little candy on the back end. Like you're gonna get your general. Okay, cool. I got a general ballpark profile. Now I can go to the next category, which is like I believe looking at it, right?
Yeah. So then after you do the smell, we're moving into our visual. So trying to identify what you're looking at. Obviously, this should be pretty easy. Is it rosin? Is it water hash? Is it pressed hashish? We were thinking about putting BHO on this list, but then it just made the colors and the consistencies and textures more difficult. So we're
solventless people.
Yeah, we're solventless people. We're keeping it solventless.
Yeah, we don't trust them. That's hard liquor shit.
Okay, so then
Sketchy.
We went to the color, which is obviously just sort of trying to describe what you're seeing. And then Q had the excellent addition of adding the brightness or vibrancy to that. So within those different colors, like you can have a more like creamy off-white, or you can have a very vibrant like fluorescent white or like yellow. So it kind of gives you ways to describe not only the color, but sort of how loud the color is, I guess you could say.
Dull yellow hash doesn't sound nearly as good as fluorescent highlighter bright yellow hash. So just yellow hash doesn't tell you all that much, but we think with a brightness indicator, it really gives you a lot more information.
Yeah. And then from there, you can kind of go into the consistency. So is it fresh press? Is it like a cold cure or a batter? Is it a jam? Is it solventless diamonds? That's pretty self-explanatory. And then sort of from there, we sort of wanted to have you to be able to describe the textures within the different consistencies. So for fresh press, is it more like stable and glassy? Is it more of like a pull and snap, or is it like a really runny, sort of sappy consistency? For the cold cure, oh, I'm sorry, where am I? Oh yeah, is it like a wet batter? Oh, I gotta do it.
Oh, I fucked it.
No, you're Gucci.
So with the cold cure, right, basically we're trying to create a spectrum of the driest to the wettest and give you about 5 options. So if you have 5 options, the third option is the middle, and then you have 2 options on either side of the middle. So that's the structure for most of these analyses, is that it's kind of like a 5-layer spectrum with the 3 in the middle.
So for like the cold cure batter, is it like a very wet batter? Is it more of like a cake batter? Or is it a very dry batter? And then for the jam, this is for you, Mikey. I don't know. You can tell me what you think, but in terms of the consistencies, is it more of like a sap, like when almost like you overdo it and it's more of like a cart consistency, a slush where it's more of the like sauce and diamonds, like equal parts, and then the sugar is kind of like when it's like that drier consistency, like a little bit more like THC to terpenes.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to find the far ends of the spectrum on that one and dial it in. But you can do a lot with post-processing and heat tech and stuff, so that one may need a little more to it, so we'd love some help on that, MTS.
Man, I would say that you have like sap, you have wet batter, and then you have sugar. You have a wet and a dry sugar, and then you have like basically a wet and a dry diamonds. I mean, because the sugars are just kind of, it's just like a cold cure, and that some of them are going to be much more on the dry side and some of them are going to be much more on the wet side. They're never going to be like a completely dry crumble just because of what you're doing with them. But
kind of like big diamonds, wet, dry, small diamonds, wet, dry, and then like cart sap.
Yeah. And even if you're It'd be cart sap, and then there's also wet batter. You know what I mean? Because like if it's got a low level of THCA and you try to nucleate it out, but don't take it into sap, it's not gonna form into ACE or crystals, but it's gonna be that wet heat tech.
That,
Okay, gotcha. Yeah,
almost like that West Coast alchemy looking stuff.
Yes, exactly that.
I feel that. And then we also put solventless diamonds on, just because you see it. And that stuff is either that chalky white bullshit, or they do the heat tech and they turn it into diamonds.
Yeah, the chalky white bullshit. Fuck Sep or Mech Sep. That's also. Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. Speak your truth.
Also add that onto the celebrity boxing. Find somebody that's a good Mech Sepper. Me and him need to scrap it out. Winner gets to determine which one is better at diamonds.
You and Rackham's fight it out.
Me and Rackham's. That's it. Rackham's. It'll be a friendly match.
And then we have the last one for the visual is the cleanliness of melt. And that would be broken up into two categories. That's like particulate and your color. So obviously if your rosin should have 0 particulate, and then your melt will have different levels. And then, like, color, I feel like it's also self-explanatory. You dab some stuff, and sometimes it melts really nicely. Sometimes it melts, like, dark. Whether or not that matters, I think it's important to note.
What's stone fruit? I see it. I seen it. I seen it.
We're here. We're in the taste.
I need to know what stone fruit is.
That would be, like, your peach terps, bro. So this is sort of like the...
Peach, mango. What else would be a stone fruit? Is a mango a stone fruit?
Cherries, plums.
Listen, you can't put peach and cherries in the same thing. Hate cherry. I love peach.
Not really stone fruit.
So, all right. So, like, right here, right? So,
don't mind me. Sorry, I'll shut up.
Density of inhale and exhale. Sometimes stuff tastes more when you breathe it in. Sometimes stuff tastes more when you blow it out. All right. So yeah, go
MTS,
off, Q.
Think of it more as a thinking exercise. So it's not so much about how much they taste similarly, but more about you categorizing weed into fruit, like fruit clumps. Like, oh, is it a berry? Oh, is it a melon? It's not really about if watermelons and cantaloupes taste similarly. It's more about clumping it into a family first, and then you can pick it apart.
Cherry is for like CBG OG banyan tree stuff. You know what I mean? That's where that cherry flavor comes in, bro.
Yeah, but they crossed
cherry
the fruit
wine
into it because the fruit joy was too strong, so they had to water it down with the CBD cherry terps. So you get a lot of stone fruit in there.
But yeah, we kept it sort of like broad, so all of these topics you can bust down into more. Citrus, obviously, Mikey's favorite category in the whole world. Orange, lime, lemon combinations, different.
It should be like a 0.
It's not a
0 to 10.
It's a description thing.
Oh, I don't like this. We need to have it be a judging thing. It should go citrus terpene to grape gasoline. That should be the scale.
You're judging on a scale of
grape to gas. I love it. That's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know. We just try to break down the predominant flavor profiles.
We need to add cheese to that list.
Oh, we do need that. Would be the
so this is I was
meaty cheese.
I was mistaken. So this has nothing to do with judging. This is just trying to give people a very good profile. Oh, I like it.
We're trying to give people a structure to judge by.
Not that I didn't before, but
or for me you to smoke the same thing and communicate about it in a way that makes sense. Because normally people are just yelling flavors at people back and forth. Where
Q, I'm gonna hold you to that, bro. Next time I see you, you and I are both smoking the same flavor.
Banyan tree haze, dude. We're gonna smoke.
Banyan tree, yo, I got some banyan tree for that.
Yeah.
Banyan tree that ass up.
I only smoke banyan tree CBD products.
100%.
I don't smoke any other CBD products.
So yeah, Mikey, what do you think of these overall sort of like these like the flavor general groups? Fruit, candy, pastry, floral, earth, gas, and funk.
Yeah, I like it.
And then you obviously got all sorts of sub-denominations that you can delve into deeper.
So
Roan dog, did you hunt those yourself? And what sort of yields did you get on those? I only had one female that didn't harm. I had so many males in that pack, but it was some of the best grape terps I've ever had in my life. It just didn't wash good. Sorry, I was excited.
Roan
But
Dog is bringing in the heat, dude. Send it, Roan
Yeah.
Dog.
was that? Is he up in Maine?
No, I don't know him. I don't know that guy. I was just being
Oh.
like, if you got the
I'll go say I'm gonna
TTRS,
track you down, bro.
great.
I want some of your TTRS.
So something that we were talking about, we got in a very philosophical conversation about candy terps. And for me, I there's two ways for me to do candy terps, and I do them. Sometimes I go one way, and sometimes I go the other way. So sometimes I go for the type of candy first. I'll say, oh, this is Skittles in my head, and then I'll say, oh, this is green Skittles, right? But there's another way I'll do it where first I'll say, oh, this is green candy, and then I'll say, okay, it's now and laters. So sometimes I go color to candy, and sometimes go candy type to color. But I feel like judging candy based on color is much easier than flavor because all the flavors are fake anyway.
What does green taste like?
Well, it can either taste like fake apple, right, like a green Jolly Rancher, or it can taste like fake lime, like a green Skittle. So it depends.
So you're calling out.
So it depends.
So you're calling out.
What candy?
Yeah. So I was gonna say because you were just saying like you're relating all candies to colors. So I was like, what type of what does purple taste like?
That's my.
Well,
only,
yeah, I think
that's
the other
my
thing
only
too is like
problem with that
purple,
system is
it's
that
also like you can like almost all candy is probably based off of some sort of fruit.
So actually, grape, the grape is actually one pure flavonoid or terpene. So grape candy is actually a singular flavonoid. Listen to Crybaby Organics. He talks about it a little bit, but I forget exactly what it was. But yeah, grape candy is actually like a singular monoterpene that makes up that whole thing, I think. Maybe it's not a monoterpene, maybe it's a sesquiterpene, but it's just a singular one. But that, when you're talking about that, I would call that grape Jolly Rancher, you know? Like, that's purple Jolly Rancher is essentially grape flavor, you know? You could call it grape Kool-Aid, right? We should put Kool-Aids and Gatorades in here, because really grape Kool-Aid is pretty spot on.
Yeah, I hit 2.2% overall yield to hash. And that was on my R&D room, which my R&D room gets a definitively bigger yield than my other one does. So I mean, I wasn't expecting anything over 1.8 to hash in production, which didn't make it viable. But the terps were so insane.
Man, that's not that good. Why doesn't? Damn it! I wish that was better. I feel like Bloom needs to step it up. I mean, it's not terrible, but
Yeah, I don't always see good hash yields from Bloom, even though they're a hash company, hash seed company, whatever.
yeah.
It's
Well,
all
I
right.
can test wash a bunch of Straw Guava S1s, so we'll see. But
Pray for your boy.
yeah,
Bless job, bruh.
Everyone send thoughts and prayers for Professor Q, please.
Dude, the savory sorbet is gonna dump super hard, and the grease bucket is about to throw hands. So
one like
about it.
equals one prayer.
What's savory sorbet?
Savory sorbet is from my good buddy Solo Seeds Farm up here.
Mhm.
And it is Acai Gelato Kush Mints on the female side. Or no, sorry, on the male side, with the Sour Dub GMO on the female side. So it's sour garlic cookies from Bloom, and it's their actual breeder cut, and then it's hit with the Acai Gelato Kush Mints. And basically this one that I found that I really like is... It's basically like an acai bowl, if anyone's had an acai bowl or whatever, that like raspberry, purple, pink, frozen, tangy fruit. It's literally like that into cream, into like burning furniture fire. It's like carved on fire burning furniture at the end. It like lures you in with this sweet, like sour, and then it just like punches you with super death. It's awesome. I really like it.
Be careful, kids. This is why you need to smoke weed. If not, you'll start saying weed smells like burning furniture.
Dude, it does if you don't only smoke great Turks, bro.
So
We love you, Mikey.
It's a good one, dude.
Mikey's prickly
You're gonna
today.
try it.
Yep.
I can't wait for Mikey to maybe not hate it. That's like the best you can get. It's like, if If Mikey doesn't hate it, it's really fine.
The fact that Mikey told me that our Skittles terps were all right was like the highest compliment you could get.
Bro,
Only higher.
I've definitely
compliment
trashed
Mikey
some
did,
Skittles
like,
terps.
I don't hate these orange terps.
So I think this is what Mikey said to me. He goes, "Hascap sour." And that was it. That was the whole interaction. Like, I was like, dude, that is maybe some of the best hash
You're like,
here. That's what I got from Mikey based on everybody else.
Yo, I love that Hascap sour. It's so good.
Well, also one time I gave Mikey a dab of nectarine, and he was like, "What did you just say to me?" And I was like,
He is
"Oh,
mad.
just dab it."
I'm about to wash it, Mikey. So I'm gonna wash it just for you. So it's gonna take a
Nice.
whole extra day just because I like you. So
Good, man. I can't wait. I'm coming back up pretty soon, so hopefully we can coordinate that. But I'll be up a
Yeah,
decent amount.
sure to be easy enough. Yeah, you can come visit the shit show that is my farm currently, or or we can all party at Mission Hills or whatever. So
Yeah, we can always.
Cool, yeah. Yep. I'm also, I don't know, whatever. Well, yeah. You can come play around with the Osprey sometime if you want to.
yeah, that sounds cool. Only in one direction though, right?
One Direction.
Oh shit!
One Direction.
We haven't talked about this.
I wish I knew a single
I-
person from the band One Direction so I could call you that, Mikey, but I don't.
Yeah.
Anyone famous that came out of One Direction?
Harry Styles.
Oh yeah, call my man Harry Styles the way he flows in only One Direction.
I like that name too. Let's go with Harry Styles. So,
Mike,
yeah, Mikey Styles.
Tell us.
All right. Yeah, we'll take it off. Mikey Glass, Killer Mike.
Killer.
It's Mikey Toe Shoes.
Killer Mike is good. I like
If
Killer
you never
Mike.
told me that, and
Mikey
somebody was
Toe
like, "Hey, do you know
situation.
Killer Mike?" I'd be like, "Oh yeah, he's a good friend of mine."
Yeah,
Like,
you
I
wouldn't
would've
even
known-
you wouldn't even need to
Talking
tell me that
about-
was your nickname.
Yeah, that's one of them. If you go to certain places and ask certain people, that's a nickname. I got tons of them. Chubbs. There's a whole bunch, bro. But yeah,
Sorry.
other names that we're not even going to say because we don't want all my aliases online.
Yeah, don't link it all together. Keep some mystery.
Yeah. But yeah, so anyways, I did a wash once upon a time and I spun it just in one direction and I made sure that I started and stopped really slow. And the whole thing was to just not feel like I'm forcing the paddle on anything, but move the water as fast as I can. I can do that better in one direction than I can the other just because I have a stupid shoulder on my one side. So I kept it flowing one way the whole direction. Like when I stopped it, I didn't, I just kind of let the paddle go around with it and just like held on to it and slowed it really slow. But I would just kind of whip it into a vortex, you know, start it up slowly, whip it into a vortex, keep it going for as long as I could by hand, and then slow it back down to a stop, take a little break, do it again. So I washed. And it came out amazing. So I only had higher yield one time, and that was when I did like 8 rounds in the Bubble Magic, and the quality was not like the quality of what I did. And that hand wash was really, really good. The stuff that came out of the Bubble Magic was just like, I was just seeing what I could get out of it.
Working it to death.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
an inverse relationship when you're trying to bump up your yields. Those last couple runs come out kind of scuzzy.
Yeah, they were very scuzzy.
They were.
But
they were.
but yeah, as far as getting the amount of quality that I got out of it, you know, it was definitely among, if not my highest. So,
That's awesome.
and yeah, I don't know.
So, have you tried that on the Osprey or any agitation machine? Only in one direction? Hashtag?
Not yet, because, and remember, this was something that I was talking about with the hashtag that I wanted to do a lot longer spin in one direction, a little bit slower, which is just something that we never tried because I was liking what we were doing with it, but now I really want to experiment. Yeah.
EZBS solventless did and claimed that he got better yield and a cleaner material, cleaner product. So,
Yep.
We don't.
Yeah. So
So what you're saying is that Frenchie was right. it is all about the vortex.
I mean, to me, you're going to separate heads both ways. Like, I think you're creating a lot stronger forces of vacuum right next to the paddle when you're changing direction. I think if you can do that in a way that doesn't damage the material, really good. I think that the entirety of the vortex, though, is acting like a low pressure system that's helping to pull heads off. So although the effect isn't as strong, maybe it's just as fast because it's taking place over a larger area within the vessel.
So, like, if you're on the hashtag, though, like what you were just saying, where if you were like, if you could reverse it in a way that wouldn't beat the heads, in theory, you could just do like longer time cycles with like a really low ramp. So it would just sort of stop and the water would sort of slow it down on itself and then it would sort of start back up.
Yes. And I think that, looking at this from maybe a perspective that people are hearing, or they're hearing that I don't think that you should switch direction. And that's not what I'm saying. Because the only reason that I was doing it only in one direction was because it's easier for me to do it that way. I think that it's about creating a vortex, keeping that vortex going. If you can keep it going the same way the whole time, why not? But also, if you are going to change directions, if that's something that's going to happen, just making that happen in a slow way that doesn't damage the material, because, you're separating heads the entire time, not just during that. And I think that, in my opinion, I think that that's where a lot of the plant contaminant comes from.
From that hard switch in motion.
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel. More people need to flush it out, but
I can't wait.
I'm into it, Mikey.
Mikey started it. Mikey started.
Mikey,
everybody, it was on the live. We got it recorded. It's out there. If anybody tries to take credit, I'm coming to your hometown and we're doing the charity boxing. Loser pays.
Time and date locked in.
Charity boxing.
Yeah, that was something that like Goliath Glassblower threw out back in the day for all the beefs in the glass industry. And I was like, I'll put up 10K to fight Fade Space. Loser pays charity. Let's do it.
Oh my god, I love that.
Yeah, it's a guaranteed win, but
It's a litigious ass motherfucker, though.
somebody needs to get their hands on that dude in a way that he's not gonna sue you for it. Because if you even say his product is shitty, he comes into your DMs with threats of litigation.
Litigious ass motherfucker. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's threatened to sue me before.
I'm excited to see this.
You don't even want to know, Q. You're so pure. Don't even.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Not knowing is better. It's somebody that is such a douchebag that they made a banger making fun of him. Like they made a caricature and they made a name they threatened to sue people for fucking on the banger. So like that's how big of a douche he is. I've never heard of anybody else get made fun of that hard.
Yeah, trolled so hard that they actually had not even merchandise, literal quartz bangers.
Yep.
I fucking love the internet. You know, a fun fact: the internet remains undefeated in all things.
It's so crazy.
If you ever try to take on the internet, you will lose.
Yeah, don't fuck with the internet. That's fucking legit.
Yeah, don't
So,
fuck
like-
with that either, though.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think, right? If you're running what's that company that has the over manufactured thing somewhere on the East Coast? Hashatron, right?
Yeah.
So if you were running a Hashatron that has that kind of liner towards the outside, not where you're running something that's creating the vortex, so it's pulling away from the sides a little bit, like in the Osprey or Frenchie's machine, it has where some of the corners aren't round. I think that if you had that inner basket with that round screen around the outside, you would just force the material towards there and it would bunch up on itself and not work nearly as well.
100%. I do not think those Hashtrons are well designed.
I don't think I know what a hashatron is.
Hashatrons
Good
are
for you. We just keep up.
It's like you have like a full, like you know, like in like an actual like washing machine, how you have like a whole barrel.
Yeah.
You have like a stainless steel kind of mesh barrel. Then you load material into it, and does it have like impellers in the barrel too, or is it? And
Yeah, it's got like
spins, though.
stabby swords arranged a whole bunch of ways. It looks kind of like a medieval torture device for weed, not like a hash washing machine.
If I ever see somebody with one of those, I'm immediately skeptical. I'm immediately like, this is what you went for? There are a lot of options. And like I think they try to sell you too, because then they're like, oh yeah, and then we have this like crazy winch system where you can like pull out your whole colander, and it's just like, I want this to be as easy as fucking possible. Everything seems like a headache. Like cleaning a huge mesh colander like that does not sound like fun to me.
No.
Yeah. No, the only thing that I've seen that like within that stuff that I like is I do like a little bit of what solventless BNV does, where he uses the inner liner just as a place to put a pump in the middle of it and pull filtered water through. Because I've seen like Pele just sells a fucking bag, it tells you to wrap a bag over it, sells a bag just for it. Like you can't do that with one of your regular bags. I don't like that as much. I feel like the stainless steel would be better if you're putting something within, if you're putting a pump within it and trying to pull through. But outside of that, I haven't seen any of the stainless mesh applications used in any other form that I like. I don't like the they're rotary vibrating sifts. If you just search that, you see what like they're adding on top of the Nest, and a couple other companies are selling. It's not, just like so many other things, it's just something else that's already being sold that's maybe slightly changed, but really it's the same thing.
Did you see the cool thing that Hashtag was working on? It was like a reducer for the collection vessel. I like it.
I'm interested in just one of the collection vessels, you know what I mean? Like that's...
I feel you.
Yeah.
I'm going to make the Ghetto Nest first and see how we like that.
The Ghetto Nest is great. I love the Ghetto Nest. I truly do. Especially if you run the 25, not the 50, and you can do that in a 20-gallon brute food grade. Man, the Nest is nice for that. And then you can use the 5-gallon cutout on the top. So if you can drain through 5s, or you can put 10s in there. Or 10s, bro. 10 all mesh, that will get you through.
I'm sure it will, but it's like we're big boys, dude. We rock 20s in this house.
I like my 20s, but I'm weird. I got no sidewall mesh, which I know everybody hates, so.
Yeah. No, I'm out here with 5-gallon full mesh unless, that's it. The baby bird, she does fine with the 5s.
Nice.
Yeah, no, we're gonna be running the 50 pretty much the whole time.
Yeah,
our batch sizes are already there.
Yep.
And then I'm pretty sure I could just strap my food grade 20-gallon just brute, just the plastic washing vessel. I'm pretty sure I could just strap that thing down if I have to do a really baby wash. I think it'll still work.
Yeah, so I mean, there are definite ways to do that. I think if you just cut the bottom of it, it will still fit in the 20-gallon tote. And then if you need the extra capacity, because it's only going to give you it's only going to give you 20 gallons. If you need the extra capacity, you can just do one of the little stainless tri-clamps, run a small tri-clamp to another 20 that fills up, keep that one full of ice, and that will cut down on your need to add ice into your wash vessel, and it will just fill up both.
I see what you're saying. I'm probably not gonna get a brute tote because they only go up to 20 gallons. I'm probably gonna get something bigger, like a straight like Home Depot black and yellow, because it's basically just gonna flood the overflow from the 20-gallon, and then I'm gonna get a bulkhead to tri-clamp to the chugger pump back up to because the wash vessel on the 50A is gonna have, it's got the drain port and it's got a recirc port on the back end, so you can just fill it right back up.
Yeah, I need to download WeChat and just start getting us some custom brute type vessel things made. Like, listen, I need it 65 gallons, and the lid needs to be cut out in a circular manner. And I want it at the same price as all the other stuff that's already out in the market, not some can of tax bullshit.
Alice can make that for
Yep.
you. Hashtag can make that for you. Hashtag can make a vessel.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm not saying the stainless though. I'm saying I want Home Depot price, maybe double, just because it'll be small batch size. But I have a food grade plastic container. Because that's whatever. That's good enough for hash. It's cold water. It's not fucking solvents that we're using.
Yeah, if you got you could get like an aquarium tank or some shit like that. Like the big commercial aquaponic fish tanks for the bottom there might be easier.
I'm sure there's something at Tractor Supply that would work too. I don't know. I see fucking Resin Ranch. He like drains his stuff into like one of those like corrugated steel sort of. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like you see them sometimes at Home Depot out front. Like you can like turn them into like raised beds or planters. They look. It's just kind of like steel, like
looks
metal.
like a big pig trough kind of. But
yeah, exactly.
It's a big oval, the metal oval containers, but sometimes they're really big and people use them as raised beds. Is that what you're talking about?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, I think Resin Ranch. I think he has like a 20-gallon in there with the bottom cut out and it floods out, and then he's got a sump pump in there. But I'm with Mikey. I'm trying to do it as close to food grade as possible. I'm not terribly worried because it's been such a short amount of time in there, and but
yeah, just one of the things that I like about it is it being the rectangular shape, and then I can have the round cylinder that I'm collecting in off to one side, and then on the other side where I have my pump, I just load the shit out of that with ice. So I do actually like to let water sit in there in between rounds. I actually like to let my 40 and my 70 sit down in that ice cold water, so that way when I'm taking care of my other bags, those are staying like as in nice of condition of the heads as they can. And I find hanging out down there, they do that.
Is pool too short?
Yeah. So the one thing that
I want it to be nice and like rectangled out, because what I see, we're gonna get like a stainless steel table that it'll sit on, but then I want to be able to have the tote sort of like tuck underneath that, so it's kind of like low pro as possible, because my room is pretty small.
Guarantee you could have a stainless steel company make you one of these things for like a stack max. I mean, I had my sink that was all like really nice bent edges and legs and drains and all that shit is 2 75-gallon sizes next to each other. So I mean that's just one of those would be fine, and that can cost like $2,000
on it. It's like I feel like a 44-gallon tote with the bulkhead on it is gonna be like, for all like intents and purposes, it's gonna be like. Because you know what? Like, when I switched from gray brutes to white brutes, I don't think anyone could tell me the fucking difference.
I've been looking into IBC totes a lot. You could probably drop the whole thing in an IBC tote with the top cut off.
I wanted it to fit under. You would have to, cut the IBC tote.
Yeah, but if you just sawzall off, the top 2/3.
I just feel like...
Maybe.
I feel like the tote is going to be just the play until I eventually...
I'm just looking for something that I can recommend super widely that actually is food grade, because Murphy is the one that's always putting out low tech type stuff, and you know how that chick is with everything. So
my girl, dog. Don't talk about her like that.
Oh yeah, that's my homie. She loves me, I'm sure.
So well with others. I just appreciate her ability to just not pick fights and just be a mature adult in the hash space.
You know what? I'm gonna. You should look at Lexam containers. That's a food grade container. We used to use those in kitchens. That's the really large clear plastic. You could fit a whole pig in one of those motherfuckers. I'm sure they make some.
That's it. That's what I'm looking for. And what's the name of the company real quick again?
I think it's Lexam, Lexam.
Nice. Yeah, I'm sure it has to already exist. Just that's for the
I don't know how big they get, but we used to sous vide tons of porchetta, 25, 30 porchettas at a time in one of these big motherfuckers.
Damn.
Yeah.
Mike,
these guys are
just call him up, be like, yeah, I'm cooking pigs. Give me some containers. They'll be like, we got
Bro, I will. Don't. Well, listen. When I first went to a trade show, I was like, I can just order cannabis packaging without EIN, like or any sort of like you can just there's nothing. The government doesn't have any problem with that. Like you guys just openly sell cannabis packaging and shit. So like, yeah, I was super stunned about that. I'm pretty sure I can get some just food grade containers.
Oh yeah.
I'm probably pretty sure they're not gonna be like, you're not using this for weed, are you? Like,
Hey, MTS, if you want to come to Philly tomorrow or the next day, I'm going to be down there. I'm driving down.
yes, actually, so I'll be back down tomorrow. The next day I would definitely come down and get some food and stuff, man.
Cool. We'll be down there for dinner. So if you want to come get dinner with me and Mike early or like tomorrow for dinner, like later, we can, or you can come down the next day.
Yeah, the next day would work great. Me and the kid are going back home tomorrow, so I'm gonna be driving a bunch. So
Way to be a family man.
Yo,
yep.
MTS Farms high key #1 dad.
Facts.
It's
Appreciate that.
It's a fact.
Yes. Speaking of which, it's our last night. I just saw a kid trying to sneak up on me to scare me, so I'm gonna go hang out with him. You guys have a good night. Love you.
Dude, good talking to you, bud.
Love you, man.
Bye, love ya.
You bomba clod. I'm
You
glad I
guys
got the
did,
bomba clod in there.
You guys did such a good job on this grading scale or this strain description thing. I'm stoked.
Dude,
Thank you.
wait till Hana zhuzhes it up too.
They're gonna make it pretty.
It's gonna be real sexy looking.
I'm gonna marble around the idea of building a palette, like a flavor profile in my head and what that looks like, and try to create what would be like the second level of the shit where you actually have like a well-built three-dimensional representation of the flavor, which I don't know.
like the flavor wheel expanded.
Yeah, like it might be. So round one would be the flavor wheel that we all come up with, and then you take pieces from the flavor wheel, and then it becomes like a, I don't know, like a fucking
web
blob flavor, where you overlap small, almost like a plate of food, where it's like, okay, your steak is your main course. You got some asparagus with like a little garnish, like it would kind of feel like that. So
Yeah.
So if I can come up with a 3D or even a 2D built off of the flavor wheel that we jazz up, I think that's what we need.
I think it'd be easy to do too, because it's like everything can easily be expanded for the most part.
Are you
The
gonna
fruit, the candy, the I don't know, but the
Grow up.
pastries.
Bro Up is doing a hash comp. You should send this to them.
Who is?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Once we get it all
Grow Up,
beautified, dude,
the conference.
I gotta
Really get it?
trademark this. Not really, but
Yeah, send it. If you can get a trademark,
Oh.
fucking do it.
I don't think you're gonna trademark it. I think people are gonna
be
steal it.
copyright. I don't even know.
People are gonna steal it.
But we're definitely gonna turn it into prints because I think this would be dope to have in any sesh area.
Dude, fuck, it's kind of a cool
Give it
t-shirt.
to your parents, bro.
Oh,
That would be
dude.
a sick t-shirt.
Mood mats. You like take the dab and then be like, oh, it goes on that, like the color wheel.
That'd be pretty
the flavor
sweet.
wheels, the
So
mood mat.
that.
You better put my fucking name on that shit. That's cool, dude. That'd be really good.
That'd be cool.
That'd be cool. Melting of the heads, fucking flavor wheel moon mats.
Bro, Flavor Wheel moon maps would be dope.
Flavor wheel
Yeah.
moon mats would honestly hit mad hard.
Yeah.
How do you even know what your dabs taste like if you don't have the flavor wheel moon mat? Answer me that, yo. You don't know shit.
It reminds me almost of like the Lord of the Rings, where it's like there was this legion, it's like the fruit, and then there's the cast.
The elves, the
Yo,
the
big
hazy elves.
Where do
Mike
the categories
Jackson,
differ? Where do the categories differ from Jodri? Because Jodri does fruit, fuel, floral, earth.
It's built off of Jodri, but
We
we've spoken
expanded
about
on
it for
it.
a long time. The issue is it's not. Jodri's is 4 quarters, and like the bottom 2 quarters not really that common. But also he has fruit as one thing when really it's fruit candy, and he has gas as one thing when we really feel like that's more like 3, at least 2, if not 3 things.
Gas and funk for sure, and then I'd argue that earth is kind of also.
I think you guys have a valid argument.
And I think cookies needs its own, like pastry needs its own pocket now. It is undeniable that the amount of cookies, cakes, and pastries that exist on the market, for them to not have their own window is like, you're just going to be like working around it the whole time. Yeah. So it's very much built off of his. But the issue is he kind of judges things as, oh, the weed is over here or the weed is over there. What I'm proposing is that you identify all the flavors and then you build the profile based on all the pieces. Whereas he's just saying like, oh, it's either gas or it's floral. It's like, that's not how weed works anymore. Too much stuff is too dynamic and overlapping. And I think that's where, like, it's the same thing with that terpene tasting, whatever. They're like, it's either this or it's that. And it's like, nah, it's fucking not. Like, it can be like 4 things at once. And that's where we have to get to.
100%, 100%, bro. I think that there's too much weight in fruit to carry it all. Like, there's too much going on for the fruit, fuel, floral, and earth, and only 2 of those categories are doing any kind of heavy lifting. So I
right.
think,
like, where would gelato fall in that?
Right,
because it's not really fruit or fuel or floral. It's like earthy wouldn't really. Earthy would feel like be doing it like a disservice.
I feel like the vanilla part.
There's just some cracks in there. I don't want to say cracks, so like there are holes where things like don't really neatly fall in there.
Yeah.
With our.
And there's a ton of zigzagging across the middle of the palette to make something. So even if you said, okay, gelato is a little bit vanilla, that's floral. It's a little bit doughy, which we'll call earth, and it's a little bit gassy. It's like, now you just have a bunch of lines going through the whole thing, and now what do you know? Now you don't know anything, Whereas you need to take each one of those pieces individually and then build up, like, what percentage of each one of these and what's the intensity of that thing, and now you can actually build.
But in this system, gelato just goes straight to dessert, right?
In this instance, it would be dessert, and then you would describe the dessert, right, which would be vanilla, and then it would pepper gas over. But you would now say, okay, this is a predominantly vanilla profile with an edge of gas and like an edge of maybe like a sweet candy edge, right? Something more along those lines. And it would end up looking like a huge steak with a dollop of mashed potatoes and a dollop of butter. And that's, trying to create a visual representation of how much of each flavor and kind of how they pair and interact with the main flavor.
I like it.
Right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's gonna drive us crazy trying to create. I don't know how you taste something and then build a 3-dimensional representation of it for somebody, but and that's language we can talk about. But that's kind of what notes are. When someone says, "Oh, it has notes of something," that's not even the second flavor. That's like the garnish and the pepper. Those are the very minute edges of the flavor. So
we fail forward. We keep talking about it and figuring it out, and I think
we're doing it. It happened.
Yeah, putting it out there.
It's the worst it'll ever be. The one we just made, it's the worst one you'll ever see.
Yeah,
I'm still pretty happy on that one too.
It's kind of gas.
It's pretty solid.
Good.
It's pretty solid.
For a first draft.
We've talked about it a lot though. Like we've just been waiting to write stuff down.
Yeah, I mean, we've all been studying this for most of our adult lives, so that helps. They both went to school for this shit.
Allegedly.
Yeah, like in theory. I don't know. I don't know who gave these guys degrees, but no, but for real, it's like they've already been chefs and tasting and thinking about flavors for a long time, and I've spent many sleepless nights thinking of the quest towards flavor. So we're doing good.
I'm very stoked.
I think it's good. I think it's a good way just to. Would you have it in like a booklet where you would just have all this stuff written out and you'd just be ticking things off? Is that how you would see it?
No, I just want to have it as like that poster. It's just supposed to be a fucking like, just like a path that you go down. Yeah, it's just a guide for like if you want to...
It's a guide for deeper understanding.
Yeah, you know, it's not necessarily... It's not even like... Just like it's not like a judging thing either. It's just like you're just trying to talk your way through, and it's like a good way for... We're just trying to get everybody on a at least similar page of words and descriptors.
Because you can have conversation with people, but if you're not having conversation with people and using some kind of like universal, unified kind of terms, then it's really hard to have like an effective discussion, because a lot of these like things that we loosely throw out are relative. So if you have like a very fleshed out something to talk about, then it's more specific and you can have a more like genuine, authentic, like deeper understanding kind of conversation.
And you can smoke again and build on it, right? Like you can be like, oh, we'll start here.
Right
now we all take another dab, see what we think. Jameson, I'm actually imagining like someone having like a compass and a protractor, and you actually calculating the percentages you think of each flavor and building circles that are of the radius of each flavor. So I'd say, okay, GMO is like it's like the circle this big of halitosis, and it's like this circle this big of garlic, but there's multiples of them or something, and actually like building a geometrical representation that one can kind of like see based on things, and those could get filled in with flavor, with the flavors from the flavor wheel. So like each flavor on the flavor wheel might have a picture, and you actually would fill in those pictures to like make it more interactive. But I don't know. I think that could be fun. I don't know. That's what I try to do in my head already. So I'm just trying to like.
Yeah, we when we were doing our hash in the Mylar bag, you would usually put like a terp code on the Mylar, and we were originally writing out sort of more like descriptive descriptions of it. And I think we realized that people really just want a couple of like big phrases or words, like instead of like
a long, thick.
Yeah, people want to see like, you know, so like for this like
creamy gas.
Yeah, tropical fruit candy. Like they want just very brief, easy descriptive words that they can go, okay, yep, that's what I'm looking for.
And that's what this would kind of give you is the 3 to 4 main things, right? So like, oh, it's vanilla ice cream with some gas and some chocolate, right?
Yeah, and the biggest one has the most pronounced, and the smaller. Yeah, no, I see you. I think that's good. I think that's really cool.
This will also be good because we Q and Hana and I were always talking about events, and it'll be cool too if we could like do tasting events and you do the grid with other people, so then they have a sort of baseline of what, at least what things are to us. Because like, you know, sometimes if you've got no sort of basis or no sort of like background or any sort of previous experience, like it's hard to like for instance, my beautiful mother, every time I show her a jar of rosin, she just says, just smells like dope. And I'm like, woman, you are telling me you smell no orange in this jar? Like, that just doesn't come, and, you know, like, she doesn't, but
yep,
she doesn't smoke.
My pops will just be like, oh, man, that shit, but never actually say, like, words that make any sense. And I think a lot of people, they're just like, oh, that shit's really strong, and, like, you know? And I'm like, no, I don't know, because you're not saying any words that mean any flavors, you know?
I think we need to collect and identify the words that, you know, people like Q and you, Adam, and Hana are using when we're using the adjectives to describe the words, like, you know, like letting people know that you can use, you know, fetid or rotting or fresh or old or wet, dry, on all these descriptors before you even fucking describe something, to give us a point of reference of, okay, like, you know, where are you trying to take me here, is something that's really important in culture. And I think that once people understand how seriously we take the vernacular around descriptions, then even those people who don't consume and aren't even curious to consume may even become curious to consume because they're like, wait a minute, you guys are talking about dry stone fruits? And we're like, fuck yeah, we're talking about dry fuck. Like, which dry stone fruit do you want to talk about? Like, we only have so much time. Like, we can't talk about all the dry stone fruits, you know? And then we've got somebody being like,
are we talking about dates?
What
are we talking about here?
You know, so I think that the more we can do this and put it out there and, you know, listen to people like Kevin Jodry and Q are Kevin Jodry and Q, and there's a couple of other people that I'm forgetting. Definitely Jackson's and Mean Gene.
Mean Gene for sure.
The way that they talk, the descriptions, the descriptors, listen to them talk, describe the words that they're using. Those are something to listen to. That's my advice for sure.
Yeah, Quinn is top 5 weed terpene flavor describers.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is that sometimes Quinn will say stuff to me and I'll be like, ha 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 ha, okay, buddy. But then I smoke it and I'm like, oh, fuck, my dude is not lying. Like, that's a crazy thing that he said to me, and I was really skeptical because I'm a person who has, like, more than a healthy dose of skepticism. I'm, like, a person with an unhealthy dose of skepticism, and Quinn will say crazy, like, flavor profiles to me, and then I'll smoke it, and then it's real life, and that's not a thing that happens with most people. You know, most of the times people will say stuff to you and you're like, sure, but you don't really taste it. But I be smoking joints that taste like sausage and gravy, so I don't know.
Gravy turp.
Dude, we're getting some crazy terps. It's getting fucking real. I'm about to bring the brunch down for Hana soon. It's gonna be dope.
Dude, one of the first cold cured Professor Q.
Dude, yeah, it's gonna be the first cold cure since 2019 or 2020. Like, the first time I ran all my equipment, my first greenhouse, I cold cured everything. But since then, I've fucking switched over. So this is gonna be dope.
Pretty legendary.
Yeah, I might cold cure. We'll see what MTS wants to do with the Hascap Sour. Be interesting. So yeah.
Big ups, them puppy dog.
Dude, that's a big old dog.
Yeah, I would be very excited to see what your stuff does cold cured. I'd very excited to Hascap. I would cold cure it all and see what happens.
Yeah, that's what Mike's a big part of that. Like, when I have more help and more time, now that Mike's moving up, we're gonna do a lot more like fresh press cold cure side by sides and things like that. So I'm looking forward to that, and then MTS can come help me maybe make a jam or something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm not super in a rush to put anything in the oven quite yet. I'm going slow. So.
Yeah, I'm on that. I'm with you.
I don't know that we need any oven here yet, but I would like to find a cultivar that it does well for carts and does well for jam, and
If you want to swap out some of my fresh pressed Goodwill jars for cold cure jars, I wouldn't even be mad at that. By the way, just so you know,
we'll try to give you half and half.
I want half
and you
and half.
Tell me, because I want to know what you. I don't give a fuck about everybody else. I want to know what this hash squash thinks is the better option.
Absolutely, bro. I'm stoked.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
We just did an indoor peach run, so you're going to get at least 3 of those stashed. And I never do, if anybody knows me, I never do indoor peach. So
Peach?
It's going to be good. I haven't done indoor peach for a long time.
No one's getting peach until I get some.
He's going to get a peach.
I haven't even tried the peach. I've probably been the most vocal peach.
I don't know. I've been pumping peach pretty.
Not even top 5. The peach, like, my family members don't shut up about the peach. So you got
I know.
already
I haven't
2
even
family
tried it.
members. I got to keep that baby with a stick. So, but no, you're getting some peach. She's getting some brunch.
Yeah,
Brunch
I'll hold on to Jameson's peach for
peach
sure.
is next year. You're not. Jameson's peach stays in the freezer. I got to keep Mike off of it. Crazy.
That's too funny. I saw homie up in Edmonton got the package today. He got some beans. He's super stoked to pop.
Allegedly, that's what's up.
Allegedly, yeah. Allegedly.
I was a little shook with the customs forms. I was like,
Oh yeah. Oh, it's always a bit weird, but it's all good.
But you were right, dude. Thank you. You advised me very well, allegedly, and it was great.
Allegedly, it was dope.
Allegedly is all good. But I'm so excited, bro. When is your trip?
So my birthday is the 11th, and then I get on a plane on the 12th.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I have a festival on the 9th and the 10th. I'm supposed to spin fire at.
Nice.
So it does not ever stop.
Nope, sure don't.
So I'm just like, it hasn't really sunk in that I'm going to Jamaica yet, but I've been listening to a lot of extra reggae music in preparation. So that's been helping the vibe. I had to go buy sandals because I never owned any, so this is new. So,
that's sandals are key. Good knowing the different reggae artists is pretty clutch.
Oh, I don't know a lot, but I know, like, see, I'm the kind of person, I won't know the artist, but I'll know the words to their songs. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's interesting.
So I was just getting my Chronics on. You know, I just love Protege and Chronics. Like, I listen to a bunch of Jesse Royal and Damien is like, you know, all the Marleys are fucking gas, but a little bit of Steel Pulse and shit, you know, but like. The old, like the Eka Mouse and the older stuff that I do really like a lot. I don't know, I don't always, like, I know Barrington Levy and Eka Mouse, and, you know, but I don't know, like, all the old school like I would like to, but
yeah.
I'm at least getting in the vibe.
Everybody's got, like, a sound. It's very similar to, like, glass, where, like, you're like, oh, that shape of pipe. Like, I know who made that. Like, I've never seen this pipe before, but I know who made that. It's, like, very similar to, like, I think a lot of reggae, once you listen to it, you're like, oh, I don't know what song this is, but I know who this is. That's at least how I am with it, but...
Yeah, and I'll be like, oh, it's this guy. I know their other songs, but I won't even know their I gotta, like, connect the name in.
Yeah, for sure.
But the thumbprint is there, though. You're totally right.
Yeah.
Sizzla and some of those cats, though, I do have, like, I like Sizzla, but also there's, like, I feel like Capleton and Sizzla, I get mixed up a lot. You know what I mean?
Capleton is tough. Capleton for me is the toughest. It's like it's rap reggae. It's pretty intense.
It's rough too. It's like militant.
It's very militant.
Militant spectrum, which I like a lot, but yeah. I mix them up sometimes. Kabaka Pyramid is sick, dude.
Yeah. Kabaka Pyramid.
He's kind of halfway.
Buju Banton is sick.
Yeah.
There's so many good artists out there, but
I'm glad there's so much good music because I don't know what I would do if I ran out of music.
Bro, it's gonna be. I'm stoked for. Have you figured out what you're gonna do for filming?
No, me and Bay Area kind of sent a few messages, but we've been meaning to actually get on a phone call. So I actually got to get on a phone call with him. So we can lock some of that stuff down. So I might have to drive down to Boston and pick up a bunch of equipment, and maybe I'll pay Mike and Hash to go do that. But yeah,
never a bad deal.
Everybody wins.
Yeah, you're gonna be like, if you're gonna be traveling with a bunch of camera equipment, like you gotta think that through as far as your travel goes for like airports and shit, extra bags and. You know.
Yeah, I'm planning on packing relatively light because I think I'm just going to wear a bathing suit the whole time. So,
yeah. If it's just like a camera, then you're good. I don't know what they're looting you up with.
Yeah, right. We'll have to see. It might be a Pelly, but hopefully we can.
Guessing it's a Pelly. I'm guessing it's a Czech Pelly.
Yeah. Cool. All right, I gotta go drive over to my brother's house. I'm crashing over to my brother's house. So.
Fred, Adam.
I got 8-hour drive tomorrow.
We love you, dog.
Love you.
Thanks for coming, dude.
Peace. Love you guys, dude. Thanks for having me over.
This is a real life Hashmaker hangout.
This is a real life. That is.
Dude, God bless Cuba, man. Just hits us up. He's like, hey man, I'm in Portland. I'm gonna get some dinner. You guys like free? I'm like, motherfucker, you bring that ass over here.
Let's go.
I didn't even. It was very. I was so busy today. I forgot to have fun, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, it's time to have fun." And then
Here we are, baby.
Gotta have some fun. Yo, let's get that grading scale out to the people. That's fun.
Yeah, we're gonna work on that tomorrow.
Dope. We still gotta lock down. We're still on the hunt for a location for Moth East Coast. So
I'm gonna talk to my buddy when we pick up our gummies from him and see if he's got anything else.
Nice. I'm exploring a couple options. I'll message you.
Yo. As a if we don't do like New York, we could do like a fucking ski resort. Like
we can do wherever we want. There's no rules, right? Remember? We do what we
want. Oh yeah, we make up the rules.
We just do what we want. So it's more about the location. It's like how special is that location? So
yeah, we're gonna find something. We're gonna lock that down.
So all right. Hana, love you guys. Talk to you soon.
Pleasure. We'll talk to you soon. The flat brims are in production, baby.
Oh, bro, I love this.
I got three of them made. So
you're the best.
Yes,
All right. Give my love to Hana. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Talk soon.
We'll talk later.